All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rum Lab channel at Savvy. I'm super excited to be here today, and we're certainly going to talk about rum really quickly.
The glass is already half empty.
Well, really quickly, for those that are joining us right now for the first time or have participated already in the Rum Lab channel, welcome. To your right, you're going to see a chat box. And I see already Magda. Oh, Magda from Guatemala. I see Letty, Kat, Whitney. They're already joining us, which is great. If you during the presentation you have any question, right in the very bottom, there's an area that says ask questions. Please share them there. At the same time, if you want, share this event to other people. If you're watching us actually right now through LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, come over to Savvy, which is zavvy.co, where you can participate from the live chat. At the same time, today's presentation is going to be around 30-40 minutes, and then we'll have some questions, hopefully. And that's it. Today's main topic is Industry Rum Rebels. And this is actually a book written by Martyna and Rene, who are here joining us right now. Hello.
Hello. Here's the book. We only received it actually the day before yesterday, I think. So it's very new, and it's coming out on April 12th. There was a small delay, unfortunately, because the entire industry is now struggling with publishing on time. But it's coming, and it's a fantastic book to celebrate this month's Women's History Month, of course, because we are featuring some fantastic women in this book. And we really can't wait for people to learn more about them and about all the great things that they are doing.
Actually, there's only 24 at the moment printed. These are printed in England for us.
Yes, just for
America. America doesn't have them yet. These are the first prints.
Yes.
There's a box here. There's only 24 printed yet. The other 1,000, and they arrive later.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before we jump into the topic of today's about the book, Martyna and Rene, can you give us a little bit about your background? How are you guys engaged in the rum industry?
So I'm a freelance journalist and a musician. So my background is actually totally not rum related. I'm new to this world, and I enjoy it very much so far. And I learned about rum thanks to Rene, actually. When I met him, I was already into craft beer, so that was kind of where my interest was. And going into rum just seemed like a logical continuation of for my palate. And I immediately appreciated how diverse the profile tastes can be, and how deep and how flavorsome. So thanks to Rene, I started to explore this world, and I traveled to several festivals with him to help him with his vintage rum collection. So he has it on his Instagram as Rene's Rarities. And as we kind of joined together, I quickly noticed that it's so great to be at rum festivals and spirits festivals, but there's not that many female producers, and that's where my main interest is. Also, as a musician, I like promoting gender diversity in music, and now also as a journalist, that topic quickly became very interesting to me. And I knew, of course, that Rene wrote a book before about Zacapa, the brand. And one of the chapters was talking about Lorena and how she had this experience in childhood with her extraordinary smell and taste. It was so sensitive, her sense of smell, that she couldn't eat many foods, for instance. So that's kind of how we joined together to maybe see and explore if there are other female producers that we could maybe write about. And there were many others, and there are many others that we unfortunately couldn't include in the book. Maybe there will be part 2. We will see. So now
we found enough to repeat the book, but
Yes, yes. As we were actually handing in our manuscript, we learned that, for instance, Santa Teresa appointed first female master blender. So the industry is changing, and this is also something that we discuss in our book. That there are some things that need to happen in order for the industry to be more welcoming for women and more inclusive and more diverse. But that will be, of course, spoiler alert if I tell you the entire content of this book.
Version number 2.
I am totally not needed in this talk.
Yes,
I can go home. I can go home. Well, I am home.
I do want to know about Rene too.
I'm going to drink. I'm going to sit back and have a drink, and then she will do the talk. She will do the talk.
Now Rene is the actual rum specialist, so now you can say like your specialty.
Yeah. Well, my specialty is old rum. I started about 35 years ago with collecting rum, which actually means that I drink too slow and buy too much. And then slowly that's actually how it started. By buying more, so, oh, this is an interesting bottle I can try later after this one is empty, the one that I already have. And then it's like, oh, you have 10 bottles, you have 20 bottles, and now it's a little bit over 400, of which I think more than 300 are from the previous century. And one is from before 1900. So that is my specialty. So, of course, she got really a warm bath when she wanted to learn more about rum. I go really back in time. Yeah. And I really have the whole world on stuff. So there's in every continent I have nice bottles and
exactly.
Yeah, and she's a quick learner.
Oh, I have a great teacher.
Yeah,
so you know.
I'm happy that I don't have to make that joke, but. So at the moment it's not so old, but we have an Eldorado from around 2000. So not as sweet as they made it later. But it's nice sipping.
Oh, I love Eldorado. All right, so let's start. In this book, you're featuring 16 females that are key in the rum industry. They could be from. Many are master blenders or master distillers. Titles changes depending on the distillery, but they're the forefront, right, of the industry. We don't have images for all of them today because we're just gonna go through some of the list. But let's start. And what I want to know, right, is how come you chose this person, number one. And number two, as we go through the slides, is like, what do you learn from them that really caught your attention? So we'll start with number one, which is Joypence.
Joy.
Yes, of course, we had to include Joy. She's recognized as the first female master blenders in the world, as far as we know. So, of course, the book couldn't be complete without including Joy. So Joy became a master blender in '97. And like many women in our book, actually, they have their background is in chemistry very often, or another STEM discipline, so like biotechnology or something like that. So they often entered the industry from a very kind of unlikely angle, and there was always something that made them fall in love with rum. For instance, Joy told us how she got her first job actually at Tia Maria.
Which was the neighbors of Appleton Estate.
Yes, yeah. And she just basically wanted to gain experience as a chemist. But then she looked to the neighbors at Appleton, and she could see all the happy people working with rum. And that's what when she decided, I really want to work there.
I want to work there, not here. I want to work there on the other side of the gate.
Something really positive and happy going on there. I really want to work there. And actually, the company created the position of a chief chemist, especially for her.
That was like a perfect, like, the grass is greener on the other side. I'm like,
always.
People are like happier.
Absolutely.
Having a great time, and then they offer me a great role here and a great opportunity, which is phenomenal, right? And of course,
Absolutely, because
her,
of
her job
course
has been.
he was so impressed by her CV and her qualifications that well they had to offer her a job. You know, they created a job especially for her. So with Joy, what really came across to me as another woman in a totally different industry, let's say. But I think that's the great thing about this book is that even if you don't work with rum, you will be able to relate to a lot of these career stories, because it's very much about just following your dreams and following your passion and just following your curiosity as well. So it's because Joy was so curious about the process and how everything operated and the blending process that she had the courage to approach the previous master blender at the time, who apparently everyone in the company feared. But she had the courage to approach him, simply to ask the question, "Can I please see what you're doing?"
Nobody was allowed in the lab.
Yeah, nobody was allowed in his room, and he said yes.
Sure, no problem.
Absolutely, and he very quickly noticed how incredibly skilled she was, that she had this natural talent, and of course her wonderful tasting skills and her expertise as a chemist. That he took her in, as a trainee, and then she became, of course, the next master blender.
Exactly. Well, you don't want to tell the stories of the book. You want us to give us a little bit of a highlight, but we want to be like, oh, I gotta read. For sure, I gotta buy this book to read all the stories about every single writer. Okay, and then with our second, of course, we have here Lorena.
Yeah, she's actually the first master blender in the rum scene that I really got to know personally. I know her already, more than a decade. I met her already in 2009, 8 or 9 for the first time. I visited also Guatemala. So we've been together quite a while. We're really friends together. She showed me everything about the company. We went to the warehouses above the clouds, indeed. She told me so much that I had to write my first book. I did it all private, on my own. And I'm still happy with that book. And that book became actually the basis for this one, because we were asked to write again about her, and then we suggested, why not actually write about people like her, other women like her, and let's see how many women we can find and write about everybody, because it's very difficult to write an entire book about one person. So that's actually, she is how it started with this for this book.
You probably very easily could write a book about Lorena, because she
really
has
she does too much.
Fantastic, really very inspiring story, and the hardships she had to go through to even because she's originally from Nicaragua, she had to escape the war, actually. So it's a very, very touching story, and how she was so determined to make a new life in a new country. And she was also a very talented chemist, so she really wanted to make a career for herself. And she didn't like beer, but she did like the smell of rum, which is, again, all the women that we spoke to had this extraordinary sense of smell. That's, I think, the common aspects. That's the nose, really. The follow your nose is kind of the lesson that we can take from from their.
Something really interesting about is Lorena is, if I'm not mistaken, she is behind dynamic solera aging, right? Which is like a revolution or evolution of the traditional solera process or aging process, which is phenomenal. And Rones de Guatemala, right? Something that's really interesting from them is that they used a yeast that came from pineapple, right? And which also makes a very particular type of rum, and in addition that they use sugarcane honey, and it's still delicious. Their sugarcane honey, when you try it, is just delicious. All right. Before we go to the next person, I want to say hi to.
Number two, by the way.
Sorry.
She's the second. She is known as being the second master blender, the second female master blender.
Yes.
In the book.
No, that's by reason because she was
world.
the second in the world.
Understood. So I want to say I see that also Whitney, Jack, Brad, Daphne from France, Brad from Panama, Jack from Florida. I see Fishar Kelly from Ireland. We got Carlos from Mexico. We have Ronald from Netherlands. And of course, Dave Rossos from San Francisco. Great to see you, Dave, again.
Long time I haven't seen Dave. It's I have to. It's well, last time must have been Miami, but it's almost. I'm sure it's almost 10 years I haven't seen Dave. Yeah.
All right, let's go now to the next slide. That we're here. We have Carmen from Roncarúpano. And my point of view, she's been over 30 years in the industry as well, right?
Yes, indeed. And they're celebrating their 260th anniversary this year.
For the company.
For the company, obviously.
But she didn't start as a master blender.
No, obviously she joined.
A lot of them, of course, started simply as chemists.
It is also something that we discuss in our book, that becoming a master blender is not just something that happens overnight. It is really, there's a training that takes many, many years, and you really need to be very carefully chosen, because it's such a huge responsibility to be master blender on the blender team, for instance. So it's definitely not something that happens overnight. But she joined the company in January 1990. So she's also celebrating her career anniversary, I believe.
Yeah. And what I know of course, from Roncarúpano is done in a town called Carúpano, an area called Carúpano, and molasses base, delicious. It's nice and sweet. Actually, they're participating right now with. They're introducing the rum once again to the U.S. market. They just had a booth at the Miami Rum Congress, and they do such a phenomenal. They have a great team, and of course, Carmen is a beautiful human being.
Yes, absolutely. And it's actually one of the interviews where towards the end, I think we were all crying, simply because she's
passionate.
She's so passionate and so proud of her hometown and of Roncarúpano and of Venezuela. And actually her words were that if you have a bottle of Carúpano in your home, you have a piece of Venezuela in your home. And that pride of just cultivating this her culture and her legacy is so touching, really touching.
She's very fanatic. And that is really actually through the book. All those stories, we really go to the personal stories.
Yes.
It's not so much about the rum, the technical. So I had not so much to do. Well, not totally true, but no. But really, you get the personal stories, the struggle that they had even before they started in the rum industry. There's really a lot of personal things in, but all those stories really evolve to the point, and it's all logical if you understand or read all those steps that they took. It's like, it's like this is like the only place where they could have ended. But especially Carmen is really passionate, and
absolutely, and
it was a very personal story.
She really believes that there is such a thing as feminine rum, and she's not afraid to say it. And even the company, to the point that I believe Carúpano want to have the next. I think they already have a trainee master blender that's also a woman. And Carmen believes that a feminine rum is, in her own words, magical, balanced, and I think mysterious, like full of mystery, magic, and balance. And that's, I think, really beautiful.
I love it. Yeah. All right. So our next one, we got Trudy, and actually, she's pretty new in the in the industry, meaning, in my point of view, I learned from her in the last 6 years. I'm sure she's been for more time, but she works in Mount Gay with the Remy Cointreau team, and Barbados.
Yes, indeed. We couldn't unfortunately speak to her in person, but we did, of course, we had to include her also because of the significance that Barbados has to rum in general. And actually, funny story, also another person that we spoke to for a book is Maggie Campbell, who at the time didn't know yet that she would join Mount Gay. So now, yes, it's just interesting how it all ended up together, that they are now working side by side.
Yeah. Trudy is mentioned in the book, but not her whole story. It's just a picture and a one-page explanation about her existence.
Yes.
Like, we couldn't skip her.
Yeah, we couldn't
But
skip her.
she didn't want that personal talk that we had with everybody. She says, I'm more than willing to talk about the brand, but we wanted exactly, it's about the person and not the brand as such. So, but we had to mention her, of course. You can't skip.
I mean, I imagine when you interview Maggie Campbell, she was still with Privateer.
Yes.
But now, right, she's with Mount Gay.
Yes.
What do you know what Maggie Campbell's role right now in Mount Gay is?
She's the estate manager, I believe. Yes.
Yes, she's
estate manager.
She is what is the best name? Is she a project? She does project, so she doesn't. I believe she doesn't really work for them, but they hire her to do all kinds of things, and she is doing all kinds of things for like a master blender, but she isn't the master blender as such.
She's more overlooking, I believe, the entire process, but her role is estate rum manager. Yeah.
Understood.
I think she's more in the business for development and to see what can be what can be changed, small steps in the system to make the rum even better. Yeah. She has, of course, a very open view on things.
Yeah, she has a lot of experience
in that.
She's super extremely knowledgeable.
Absolutely.
Some of the best live streams that we have in Savvy that are educational was with the American Rum Report channel. It was Maggie Campbell doing deep diving courses, which I highly recommend everyone that wants to learn more about distillation, everything. She deep dived and it was phenomenal. All right, next person, we have 4 amazing women or females from Granada, the new distillery, Renegade Distillery. And tell us a little bit, because these are all apprentices, right? Or they're all learning to become master blenders.
Yeah, so it's actually we visited Grenada and Renegades, which actually wasn't even built then. So we traveled there in 2019, I believe, just before the pandemic and the whole madness. And Mark Rainier, the owner of Renegades, he's really quite aware of the role that men have to play in gender diversity in the industry, because it's just gender diversity is not just a woman's issue; it's everyone's issue. So he's very much aware that he needs to take active steps to encourage that. And they told us also that they didn't really plan to hire mostly women, but it was just the best applicants for those roles happen to be women. So it's quite interesting as well. So now they have the entire team of future blenders that consist entirely of women.
Yeah.
It's a very, very interesting distillery, and I can't wait to taste their product.
So this is the whole master blender student setup.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can say the future of rum may be female.
Highly likely.
Oh, we can't hear you.
We have no sound. Did we do something? No.
We can't hear you, I believe.
Sorry, I muted because
yes.
I hear we're all in the house together, and so some of us, my family's having lunch too.
That's okay.
So,
Our cat is just
there's
crying,
sometimes
trying to
some
get in.
extra noise created. So we down here we have Kayla. Kayla is part of your team, right? She helped part of this book.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
She is so important for the book.
We really couldn't like it was very important for us to include a cocktail recipe with each chapter, and of course each cocktail recipe is the favorite of each master blender that we are profiling. So we really wanted to recreate these cocktails here in Amsterdam, where we are based. And we found Kayla Cross, who's originally from America, but she has a bar together with her husband, a little white bird, and she did fantastic job. And also she offered some kind of insider tips and DIY tips, so that all of the cocktails in the book are very easy to recreate at home. Because it was also important for us to make sure that everyone, no matter where they are in the world, can easily recreate this cocktail and enjoy a little bit of that piece of world at their homes. And
including a little bit experimenting, try it this way, try it that way, so you can give it your own twist.
Absolutely.
But no, she is, we of course only started with the writing about the women, and the cocktails came later, but without her, that part would be boring. She really made it come alive. So she is really important.
But you have her as one of the 16 persons, or as the 16 rebels, or she's not part of the?
No. She's just she created all the cocktails. Yes. She is the mixologist that made all the cocktails possible. So we were there for 2 full days. I think in total something like 18 hours to make all the cocktails. She made them all. So we had to taste. It's a tough job. It's a tough job, but we had to taste them all.
Taste them all.
Make pictures, etc. We had a professional photographer, which is a friend from Martyna, and but she made everything come alive. And without her, the parts of the cocktails would not be where they are now. She really came with ideas to do. Let's do it this way. We were really open to a lot of things. And all together, we really came to a really nice educational part of the cocktails as well.
Absolutely. So I don't really know much about cocktails at all, but she offered such good tips. A little bit of insider. For instance, we have an old rum old-fashioned, and she offered some explanation as to where the old-fashioned actually comes from. So that's really cool. I think there's a lot of places in our book where people can just learn certain facts from here and there. That's just contribute to the uniqueness of this book, I think.
Absolutely. All right. So next we have Magda Lopez. So going back now to Guatemala. She joined us here today, which is phenomenal in the chat.
She was not too long ago. She was in Amsterdam. Of course, we had to meet.
Absolutely, yes.
And it was amazing. She did a Botan presentation in Amsterdam. We were invited, and it was really like, wow. Of course, because of the pandemic, we had to do all the interviews through internet.
Yes.
So we have seen each other, but never face to face. So that was the first. I was like, it was like meeting an old friend. It was really amazing. Such a warm person.
Yes.
It's really that's also something that we noticed about all those master blenders. They're so warm people. They're not distant. It's not snobs or whatever. It's all it really feels like a family. It's even the ones that we've never met before. It all had a click.
Oh, absolutely.
And with her, it was amazing. And we have a very funny picture. We don't show it, because I'm 1.92 meters.
Yeah.
And she isn't. Let's keep it friendly. She is a bit smaller, so she comes roughly to my middle. But I found it a very funny picture, standing straight up. So, But
we
she's
enjoyed,
such a warm person. It's amazing.
I actually have some Botran
Yeah.
bracelets.
We got gifts, so it's always it was amazing.
Yeah, it's I think for me, Botran is a delicious, delicious, delicious rum. So much passion. There are three females that are part of the team.
Yes.
Of course, Magda spearheading basically of my impression, the whole team.
Yes, yes.
Leaving a true legacy.
Yeah. And I have my specialty is old bottles. So I have bottles from them from the 80s and 90s as well, from the old Solera brand that they had back then, which is really a different taste from what they do now. It's more dry, but but amazing woman.
The previous Botran you have, it used to be the traditional Solera process versus the new dynamic Solera. You think so?
There has been a small change. I don't know exactly what. We didn't talk about it like that. And mostly, even if you ask, it's not given. But if you taste it, and it's of course also the time. I have a lot of products from which I have an old or a newer version. If you compare it, there's always a change. But some things are simply time. In a bottle, the rum still changes slowly, because the change happens through a reaction with air, and there is a very small bubble of air, of course, on top of it. So a rum will always develop. It will be more smooth, the sharpness will go away. That is simply time. That is not always simply a recipe difference. But the old one was really
Uh-huh.
different. But that was before her time. She doesn't work that long.
But the tasting that we had in Amsterdam was, of course, including the new and
was
upcoming
all the new
products.
stuff,
And
the new release. I think for Europe they had the Guatemala oak.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
which is it's a great job. I think it's delicious.
And you see a lot of that kind of development, like in general, even if it's not just women, that they don't only do what they always did, but they come with new things.
Yeah.
And I do think that women are very, very good at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we see that a lot of things happening with the women master blenders. Yes. Something new, something different. Let's forget the history. We take it a little bit in mind, but we make it the way where we are now.
Yes, yes. Of course, legacy products are a little bit different. They need to be precisely the same. But with the new products that are coming on the market,
there's no limits.
It's really interesting what's happening now, and of course Magda is also super passionate about the charring. She loves the fire, and yes, that was something that came across as we were talking. Like her lights were really lighting up with joy, as she was describing.
Really a family woman. She's really
absolutely yes.
Yeah, but Magda, how many years have Magda has? Didn't Magda and Lorena start around the same time or no?
Magda is a little bit later.
A little bit later.
Yeah.
Yes, and actually, Magda got trained also by Lorena for a while.
They know each other very well,
because,
of course.
Guatemala, so that makes sense.
Yeah, well,
women.
It's a conglomerate. Rarities de Guatemala is a conglomerate of different rum. There used to be individuals, rum distilleries got together, but that they continue producing world-class rum, from locally to Zacapa, which has its own operation, its own team. Botran has its own team. Rum Venado, that has its own logistics and its team. Now they have Miracielo, which is delicious as well. Actually, that one is, if I'm not mistaken, Miracielo is molasses based versus sugarcane honey, which is another delicious rum. But I imagine they have to help each other. They're trying to grow the category of Guatemala rum as two, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They have their own. Is it an IG for the Guatemala? But they work on their own standard and quality system. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have medium Pacheco from Urapan.
Yep. Mexico.
Yes, Charanda Casa Tarasco, yes.
She was also recently in Amsterdam, so we also met her. So
yes, we met her.
We went to several bars, became a little bit late. But it was also fun. Yeah.
And also another inspiring story, especially if you see how much Miriam is doing for her local community and how she's using her business and charanda to do something good in her community as well. Because of course her area is very much troubled by the avocado gangs.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It's affected by the avocado.
Yes, it's really mafia style.
Yes, so she's really trying to use her business and charanda to drive people away from crime, and especially young people. She also runs a music school together with her family. So it's
I didn't know that.
Yes,
the children are busy with music, learning, and finding their inspiration in it. You know, they stop focusing on making money with illegal stuff.
Yes.
So it's like a preoccupation of things. If the mind is busy with music, they don't have time to do criminal stuff. So in that way, she saves children from the mafia style. Because apparently the avocado mafia is really strong there. Yes. And they only do a little mafia, so they don't have the problems.
Yeah. Or that they take over your land, right? Then they force you.
They simply want your money. They don't take over. If they take over the land, they have to work. They want you to do the work. So they only bribe you. They only blackmail you, etc.
I didn't know that.
On the entire area and control everything.
They only want the money, not the work. They don't want the work. They only want the money.
They only want the money.
Yeah. Something really interesting about the distillery is that they have maintained like relics, or like they're still distilling on really non-traditional or funky stills. And I saw that we saw that on the live stream that we did a walkthrough, and it was phenomenal. It blew my mind away.
I have been in Mexico and traveled 2 weeks around in the tequila and the mezcal area. That already is two total different areas. But over there, they really work with small pot stills, with old systems, direct firing. And old systems sounds like obsolete or something, but they really perfected the system, and they really know how to control it. And it's also amazing, like here everything is measured, so it is a measurement that tells you how much alcohol is in a product. By there they pour a little bit in the glass, and by looking at the bubble they can see how much alcohol is in it. So they really just look at the bubble that is created, then it's like, oh, this has so much alcohol. And then when we checked it with the official machines, it was really like 2/10 or 3/10 of a percentage away from it. They're really good at those kind of things, and that's really it's in your system. It's a Fingerspitzengefühl. It's really the person who makes that possible. It's unbelievable what they do there.
Yeah. And there are more. So not everybody has been. We don't have pictures of everyone in the book. But now we have Liz Palmer. But I think Liz Palmer is not one of the 16 rebels. She helped you with the introduction of the book, right?
Yeah, she did forward for us. So
she's a friend of ours.
Her specialty is in champagne, but she's very much active in campaigning for more women in the industry. So she was very excited about our project.
I'm sure she took this picture right after having some good rum from Rene, and she was like all excited. I'm like, nah, this is a perfect to take. This is my camera moment right now. So other female that are mentioned in the book, we have Carol Homer, Karen Hoskin, Giselle from Brugal, Corrine from Martinique, Rum JM, Sharon Suhan, which I didn't know of, and you were mentioning that she's completely
yes. El Dorado.
From El Dorado DDL, right? And she's kind of undercover. Of
Yeah.
course, Sylvia Santiago from Puerto Rico, who's a
Yeah.
phenomenal master blender as well, master distiller. We have Salome,
Mhm.
Maria
Sure.
Isabel, and Chatel, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We tried with all the women to have a variety. So they also all do the master blending in a slightly different way.
Mhm.
For instance, Carupano doesn't have their own distillery anymore. So they
Outsource the alcohol.
outsource it
Yeah.
with very specific, this is what we want.
Yeah.
But it's made for them, for instance.
Yeah.
Chantal Comte, she simply buys barrels from others, like this is what I like, this is what I not like. So, and then she bottles that under her name. So that's again a different system.
Mhm.
So we try to have diversity indeed. Some use molasses, some use sugarcane virgin honey, others use Fisu, the fresh juice. We really tried a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
Well, Karen Huskin, you mentioned. Colorado, it's in the mountains. We have pictures of her in the snow, but still she has a rum production over there.
Yeah, and then she's
With molasses, that's possible.
and she basically runs the entire show. She really builds this Montagna from scratch, and yeah, it's another amazing story. It's so
her story is phenomenal.
my favorite story because really every single master blender we spoke to had something really interesting to say, and really inspiring life stories as well, and career stories. So it's almost difficult for me not to spoil it all and just to pick something. But Karen really just created her own distillery from scratch.
And
everything, and with limited resources.
It's a very good running bar in the mountains.
Yes.
You can really sit there with snow around you while you have a tropical cocktail. That, of course, is mind-blowing if you would have those two at the same time.
100%. 100%. Well, I think we've gone through everyone in the list. Let me really quickly go before we go to any Q&A or we talk about any other topic. For more information, actually, this book is already available, right? If I'm not mistaken, in Amazon.
It can be ordered. It's
yes, the actual publication is delayed a little bit.
But you can buy the Kindle version too, right? You'll be able to get it on Kindle, and then a soft paper, right? Or the and then my next live stream is going to be on April 6th. For those interested, we're going to talk about Costa Rica natural aging and the art of blending. We'll be talking with Daniel Mora, the global brand manager. Hopefully, those that are hearing our live stream today start booking or saving your spot. The best way to support us at Savvy, if you can, become a patron just for $5 a month, or basically almost like €4 or less. You can have access to unlimited live stream. We have over 400 live streams, all educational, as you're hearing today, primarily from rum, whiskey, a little bit of wine, the tiki culture as well. And of course, you can go to Noble King, which is our swag store, and we have different licensing agreement with different rum brands. If you like rum and you're in the States, this is our Rum Festival program. We already did the Miami Rum Congress, but now coming up is the Chicago Rum Festival. I know that Cal Leon is here from Chicago. I hope to see you there. Then Puerto Rico, the New York Rum Festival, Seattle, San Francisco, and LA. That's basically my infomercial moment. The most important thing, right? If you want to buy this book, sign up. You can go to Amazon as well. Is there a website where we can learn more or pre-reserve? When I was Googling, I was able to see it directly at the Amazon, which is usually our default here right now in the States. But any recommendation?
Sure. If you go to tripsandtaste.com/Rum Rebels, then we have listed all the shops, all the online shops that carry our book, because I know sometimes depending where you live, that the shipping costs can be a little bit expensive. So I think for anyone who's based in Europe, there is, I believe, book depository that there's a book depository, or if you look through different shipping options, there is one that has free shipping worldwide. But otherwise, it's available on Amazon. That seems to be the best option for most people. But we do have like a list of bookshops that carry it.
6 different internet shops. Yeah.
Yes.
So like that, trip and taste, like that, right?
Trips and taste.
Trips with an S. Okay.
Yes.
Trips and
All
toast.
right. Sorry.
No,
That's all right.
All right.
Trips
There you
slash
go.
Rum Rebels. I love the title.
I love the title. Phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm
well-
a huge David Bowie fan, so to me it's a little bit, rebel.
She has sang it several times. Oh, rebel.
Of course, I have to connect some music into it.
Well, both of you, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. There's no questions, which is okay. We want to thank everybody who actually have signed up and participated from all around the world, which is phenomenal. I'm sure a lot more people are going to continue viewing this live stream. You can always pre-record it. It's going to be available for basically a week. If not, it's only available for our patrons. But thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
We really appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy that glass of rum.
Well, it's empty at the moment. She is slow.
I
She
talk
talks
too much.
Yeah, she does the talking, I do the drinking.
Good teamwork. You got to have the yin and yang. Right?
Teamwork, yeah.
It's better than the other way around.
All right. Well, goodbye. Have a good night.
Thank
Have a
you
lovely
very much.
day,
Thank you
everybody.
very much.
Bye-bye.